start in Afghanistan, where the Taliban say they've seized Panjshir province, where they've been battling resistance fighters for days. It means that the Taliban now control the whole of the country. Photographs of Taliban fighters, apparently in the provincial capital, have appeared on social media. Panjshir is 2 hours from the capital, Kabul, and was being held by the anti-Taliban National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, or NRF. The NRF leader, Ahmad Massoud, has said in an audio message that his fighters are still resisting. Yugita Lamai has this report.
We're raising the white flag in the provincial headquarters of Panjshir, Taliban fighters said in a video released by the group. They claim to have conquered the final stronghold of opposition, and with it, all of Afghanistan. At a press conference in Kabul, the group declared victory. We tried our best to resolve the issue in Panjshir through negotiations, but it didn't work, spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said. We couldn't accept a power island in Afghanistan. We had to use force. The Panjshir Valley lies to Kabul's northeast. It has a narrow entrance, and its terrain offers natural protection. Attacked several times during Afghanistan's long history of violence, its defenders have always held fort. And even now, those resisting Taliban control say it hasn't been fully captured so far.
We are present throughout Panjshir at the moment. Panjshir is in a small province or valley. Panjshir has many semi-valleys from the southern part up to the northern part of the valley. Right now, the Taliban are only in a few locations. They are facing difficulties. Our forces are resisting. Our forces are defending their people, their honor, their home, and their values.
Ahmad Massoud, one of the leaders of the resistance, has released a voice message blaming the international community for legitimizing the Taliban. Amrullah Saleh, Afghanistan's former vice president, was the other man leading the movement. A few days ago, he'd sent the BBC this clip saying he was in Panjshir. His whereabouts are now unknown. Yogita Lamai for BBC News.
Well, a short while ago, I spoke to our Afghanistan correspondent in Kabul, Sikandar Kamani. He said after days of claims and counterclaims that the Taliban have seized Panjshir, today's announcement felt different, with the militants now in control of the whole of the country.
We've had those counterclaims. In fact, we've even had a few days ago Taliban fighters here in Kabul launching heavy celebratory gunfire into the air, thinking that Panjshir had fallen. That was not the case back then. But it does seem to be the case today, despite what these resistance fighters are saying. I think the fact that the Taliban official spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid was confident enough to hold a press conference to make this announcement, the fact that we've seen videos coming up from Bazarak, the provincial capital of Panjshir province, where the Taliban have hoisted their white and black flag over government buildings, that all seems to suggest that the Taliban are indeed now in control of Panjshir and, as they say, now in control of the entire country. They now, let's not forget, control more territory than they did even prior to the US invasion, which overthrew them in 2001.
Yes, that's an incredible observation. In terms of the formation of the government, the Taliban have been saying for some while now that it's close. What is your take, your analysis on why we've seen this delay?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's been more than 3 weeks since the Taliban took over Kabul, and we're still yet to see a new government being established. Initially, we were told the Taliban wanted to wait until all American troops had left the country. Okay, that was the 31st of August. Then we were told perhaps they were going to delay things until issues had been resolved in Panjshir. Well, according to the Taliban, that's now all resolved. One source telling me we could get an announcement by the end of the week, possibly around Friday. We'll have to wait and see, though. There's been suggestion that one of the cause for the delays has been internal rivalries within the group about exactly who is going to get what position. Other questions also cropping up about Mullah Hibatullah, many assume that he will be, whatever form of government emerges, the supreme leader of the country. He's already supreme leader of the Taliban. But he's a very elusive figure. He's made no public appearances. There's been no video released of him, even after the Taliban took over the country. Zabiullah Mujahid, the Taliban spokesman, was asked about speculation that Mullah Hibatullah could be dead in this press conference today. He said that was not true and that Mullah Hibatullah would be making an appearance soon. We'll have to wait and see.
And of course, all the while, we still have to wait to see exactly how the Taliban are prepared to actually rule, the practicalities of all of that. We had an indication from a picture from universities in the last 24 hours of classes now being segregated.
Yeah, that's right. Private universities have now opened up, and their opening up has been accompanied by various rules. So where possible, they're trying to get female students taught by female professors and have them segregated from male students. Where not, they've got a curtain partitioning those female and male students. Female students have been told, I believe, to arrive a little bit later, leave a little bit earlier than the male students. All about trying to enforce a sense of gender segregation. Many in Afghanistan, or many internationally, I suppose, will find it disturbing. But it's worth pointing out this is also very different from the Taliban back in the 1990s, where women weren't allowed to get an education, weren't allowed to work. But these kind of uncertainties are really dogging the Taliban because at the moment we haven't had this new government announced. So I was at a school in Logar province the other day. They were saying the same thing. We don't know exactly yet what kind of rules and regulations there will be governing high school female pupils just yet. And they're waiting for the new government to be announced. Many people here also waiting for the new government to be announced because they hope it will help improve the economy. A lot of people going through a lot of financial hardship at the moment. So when this new government is announced, whenever that is, at least I think Afghans will be able to put an end to this period of deep uncertainty that they're currently experiencing.
Just a quick couple of final thoughts then. The Pakistani intelligence chief has been in Kabul. Your assessment of that, and you touched upon it in your last answer in terms of the humanitarian effort that is so desperately needed. Where are we on that?
Well, let's turn to the chief of the Pakistani intelligence services, the ISI, General Faiz Hamid, a very powerful man in Pakistan, a very controversial man as well, not least given the long allegations that the ISI in particular have secretly supported the Taliban's insurgency here in Afghanistan. Those are allegations that both the Taliban and the Pakistani state, of course, both deny. But those close links between the two have fueled speculation that perhaps General Faiz's visit here was about trying to help smooth over discussions within the Taliban about the formation of a new government, smooth over perhaps some of those internal rivalries that we touched upon or talked about a little earlier. But when Zabiullah Mujahid was asked about the visit in the press conference earlier, he said the Pakistanis had wanted to come to Afghanistan for quite a while. Their primary focus, he said, was on the TTP, the Pakistani Taliban. A number of their fighters had been released from jail or gotten out of jail as the country fell to the Afghan Taliban. Pakistani Taliban is a separate entity that's launched an increasing number of attacks on the Pakistani state in recent months. And so he said that was their focus. Touching briefly on the humanitarian situation, well, the airport is still not fully up and running. We are hearing more of flights coming in from the UAE, from Qatar, but these are not normal commercial international flights, of course, yet, but they brought in some aid. The Taliban and, of course, ordinary Afghans hoping that more of that aid will be able to come in the coming days and weeks, because, of course, at the moment, because of this uncertainty, many big international NGOs are somewhat hampered in their effort. They're unsure about the safety of their staff as well. And we know that in recent months, particularly in places where large numbers of people were displaced, like Kunduz in the northeast, for example, that the humanitarian needs are very real and very immediate.
That was Sukana Kamani there for us in Kabul. With the Taliban now in control of the whole of the country, the look and the feel of the new Afghanistan is starting to take shape. Art has been painted over, advertisements featuring women have been censored, and now there's a change of decoration at Kabul International Airport. Have a look at this, because this was the I Love Kabul sign. It was an iconic feature at the airport, one of the first things that visitors would actually see on arrival in the country. Well, as you can see, the heart has now been removed from the structure. Our correspondent Lise Doucette took that picture, tweeting it with the caption, "A sign of the times, they took its heart away."